Welcome back to Chocolate Tangerine. You guys, we got such a great show for you guys this week. I promise you, I got all types of legislation that you need to know about. I got all types of everything. But if you don't know, we cover all things tactical training on this channel. We make sure that you stay, give you tips, tricks, and tools on how to stay trained and tactical. And that's why we're here today. I'm your host, Tanjanika. And this is going to be an amazing, amazing, amazing show. Okay. I'm really, really excited. I have been on this journey recently in the firearms industry, and it is taking me down some familiar, like almost deja vu moments, and then other times it's just like, oh my God, I didn't know what I didn't know. So I always try to share that with you all. I always try to make sure you know what I know so that we can all stay in the loop together. Okay, so I want to start off by asking some questions today because if you don't know, I'm a certified firearms instructor. I'm also a certified Glock armorer. So I am like really into firearms, but specifically Glocks. I promise you, I'm so excited about the training that I've been doing with this manufacturing company. But what's so interesting to me is, and the question that I want to pose to you and ask is, are you like hustling and thriving and striving for your last name? Are you doing that? Because I didn't even know Mr. Glock was a person. This is an actual human being who is a billionaire and has, firearms and one of the number one industries at his disposal, like right in his hands. And it's so interesting to me. He's old, he's super old. And it's an Austria company, so they've been importing and exporting, doing international business trade for years. Like, are we even having that realm of conversation in our families? What y'all talking about at Thanksgiving nowadays? 4th of July. Like, what y'all gonna be discussing? Because if you ain't discussing becoming the next Mr. Glock, securing your legacy and your generational wealth, that's the conversations that I want to start having for real, because as I learn more and more about manufacturing and ammo and facilities and all of these things that are in the firearms industry that's very similar, very parallel to the cannabis industry, we don't see ourselves. We don't have representation in this industry. And I want to change that. I really, really do. Starting with telling you more about firearms and manufacturing companies like Glock. Glock is an amazing, amazing system. I have one here. It's completely safe and empty. Magazines empty. And this amazing machine works every time it's supposed to work, whether it's hot, cold, wet, or dry. That matters. That absolutely matters to the person that's using it, your concealed carry person, your everyday person that needs it, or your firearm, your law enforcement that need it as well. This has 35 pieces to it total, 30 internal, 5 external. It has 3 trigger safeties, okay? So it has a trigger safety, it has a drop safety, and it has a firing pin safety. This is one of the most safest firearms on the planet, seriously. And you don't have to worry about negligent discharge. It's very rare with this, and it's almost always human error. That is a level of reassurance to me as a concealed carry holder, as a person that wants to defend themselves in the situation that I need to. God forbid I never do. Hope you never have to either. But if you do, don't you want a precision tool that's going to make sure that the job gets done to the best of its ability, that won't freeze up on you or malfunction in the time of need? That's what you want. That's what you need, and that's what Glock is. So I'm so excited about working with this organization and this manufacturing company. I can absolutely break this completely down for you and show you what's wrong. If you have something wrong with your firing pin safety, if you have something with your drop safety, or something with your trigger safety, your trigger mechanism, all of those things can be fixed, and I can change those parts out for you. So make sure you contact me if you need or are interested in Glock problems that you may have. I got you. I can fix those for you. So that's one thing. But I really wanted to harp on the fact that not only is it a precision tool, it's also a major business. Like, it's a global manufacturing business. United States makes up the bulk of the orders when it comes to Glock. Over 200,000 just alone in the United States were built, and we're like 2 million plus back behind. But now the world is starting to see. So the world is starting to really start to pay attention to Glocks as well, and they're being shipped and imported and exported all over the world. So I really, really stand behind this product, and I want you to as well. So I just wanted to put that bug in your ear. I am obviously a Glock girl, Glock over everything, okay? That's how I feel about the situation. But I wanted to come to you with that information because I think it's very important for you to know what I stand beside, okay? So we're going to take a break, and we're going to come right back, okay? And we got more news that you can use on Chocolate Tangerine on Power 108.9. And we're back, guys. Welcome back to Chocolate Tangerine on Power 108.9. I'm so excited that you are here because it's the vibe for me. Is it not a vibe for you? Do you see me out here vibing freely? Let me tell you, I vibe so freely with my concealed carry. I promise you. I feel so safe, not only because I train, but because I carry it and I know how to be a responsible transporter of said tool, okay? Because it's only a tool. That's all it is. So I want to talk to you about some laws and some legislation that's coming out that concern concealed carry, okay? There's a lot of things going on in the legislation. When I tell you, it's like almost like a seesaw. You know how that works? Like somebody brings up an anti-gun bill. Somebody brings up like let everybody have gun bill. Like it's so amazing what's happening in the House, in the Senate, and in the presidency. Like all because it's being Democrat. There's some bills that I think you guys should know about. First of all, I told you on the last show that I would tell you about the Conceal Carry Reciprocity Act. That was a National Conceal Carry Bill that was put forth by Representative Richard Hudson out of North Carolina. So he submitted this in 2019. That was like the first time that he submitted this. But it's been revised over and over again. And he submitted it again for 2021. And he was like, put this bill. So there were two anti-gun legislation bills. I'm sure you probably heard about it. H.R. 8 and H.R. 1446. Those are the two, H.R. 8 and H.R. 1446. Both egregious bills. H.R. 8 was saying that there should be more universal background checks, basically, and extend the universal background check. H.R. 1446, what it did was it required, there's a loophole. It's called a Charleston loophole, and that allows a person to purchase a gun after 3 days. So if the ATF doesn't respond in 3 days, then that person can automatically be approved to get a firearm. So this is going to extend it out to 10 days instead of 3. So when you think about it on the surface, those make sense, right? Those are just like, you would say those are sensible gun control laws. That's not true. That's literally not what that is. So the extension of the background checks is ridiculous because every person that purchases a firearm has to get a background check. What they're trying to do is close up the loophole in the gun show so you can't gift your guns to your family members or to your wife or anything like that. All of my people that pass down their guns from generation to generation, you can no longer do that. And it creates a national gun registry. So every gun has to be registered. So that's where the I see what you're trying to do there. You're trying to slip it in there. And the National Gun Registry is just not going to help because criminals do not register their firearms. They just get them, okay? By osmosis, by magical fairy dust. I don't give a fuck how they get them. They get them, okay? So to create more stringent laws to prevent law-abiding citizens from being able to, take advantage of our Second Amendment rights was really what this was underlining to be. So H.R. 8 was extending the background checks, closing that Charleston loophole, and they called it Charleston basically after, I believe, the Charleston shooting where the people died at the church. And so they were saying Dylan Roof should never have been able to get a gun. But the problem is that the FBI and the ATF didn't search all the places that they were supposed to search. They would have gotten a denial for Dylan Roof. He shouldn't have been allowed to purchase the firearm. And so that's where it's literally loopholes and it's things like that that is creating these situations. But either way, that situation probably still would have happened. When you have someone sick in the head and they're determined to do something, a law isn't going to stop them. I don't know. I truly don't understand why we keep harping on that. And then to make it where you can't pass your firearms down to your family members and to your children and the things that are in your gun trust, that's unfortunate as well. That doesn't make sense, and it's not going to be helpful at all. So what Representative Richard Hudson out of North Carolina proposed was a national reciprocity bill, and he's saying put that in there as well. If you got these two bills, put my bill in. And what his bill did was it allowed qualified individuals to carry concealed handguns in other states that allow concealed firearms. You must be eligible to possess, transport, or receive a firearm under the federal law. You must carry a photo ID or some type of documentation, and you must carry a valid concealed carry permit issued by any state or by your specific state. And a concealed carry handgun in any state, and so you also are allowed to carry this in a school zone, and they may carry on federal owned land that's open to the public. So that was very interesting because DC got all these types of crazy rules when you're on federal property, which could be a park, it could be something random, and you're on federal property and now you're breaking the law because you have a concealed carry firearm on you that you probably shouldn't have, and DC probably didn't allow you to have. It's just, they got some crazy laws as well, okay? This had 167 members support this bill, which is the H.R. 38 Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act. The Democrats rejected it just a few days ago, okay? So that is now dead in the water. And this is what we are. This is what we are. They're going forward with H.R. 8, and they're going forward with H.R. 1446. And now it's up to us to call our senators and stop this egregious bills from being passed. But, I mean, at this point, are enough people talking about it? Were you aware of it before I said anything? So this is the problem. Like, we're not up on legislation, and then it gets passed, and we're in a situation where we have absolutely no idea what's happening until it's too late. It reminds me so much of the prior industry that I was in. Okay, another piece of legislation, Missouri. Missouri got a couple different concealed carry bills that they are proposing. One, HB 52, is going to allow you to conceal carry on public transportation. I thought that was extremely interesting. So, Missouri Public Transit Association and Citizens for Modern Transit, they're going to continue to oppose this particular bill because they're saying no one should be allowed to carry on public transportation. But they recently met and they decided, you know, this is something that we're going to move forward with. It has to be voted on again. But if they're allowing you to conceal carry on public transportation, the senator that introduced it is saying that this is going to prevent a lot of public situations that happen negatively because citizens who have the right to bear arms aren't legally allowed to do so. So he's trying to close that loophole as well. Another bill in Missouri, the Southwest Missouri state lawmakers, they recently met over eggs and issues, and we have eggs and issues in our state as well. If you don't know about eggs and issues, that is where legislators meet to talk about the agenda for the year. It normally happens in January or the top of the year. And a lot of your state and local legislators are there at this breakfast that you either buy a ticket for or you find out about. You're part of an organization and you're able to attend. And you get to talk to them in person, in real time. This is so important for advocacy and the grassroots movement. If you're really fighting for 2A rights, you have to know how to lobby. And that's just period. Not even if you're not doing it professionally like I've done in D.C., you have to know how to talk to a legislator or a representative about your particular issue that you care about. You need to be able to do it succinctly and in a timely manner because there's other people that want to talk to them as well. So you have to have your talking points together. You have to make sure that, you know, you do it in a respectful manner, and you have to do it in a memorable manner so that they even give a fuck to remember what you talked about because they got all these other people that are talking to them as well. So this absolutely matters. So again, Eggs and Issues was where they discussed new legislation. Representative Ben Baker of Newton County, he introduced a bill that will allow individuals who conceal carry to carry in churches and other places of worship. Currently, you have to have the permission from the pastor to carry in Missouri, and pastors don't want to make that decision of who they allow to carry in their church or not. They don't want to make that decision. So this bill would allow anyone with a concealed carry permit to be able to go into any religious organization and carry there. So that's very interesting. That session ends on May 28th, so I'll be on the lookout for that and let you know how that goes, because I was actually watching church shooting, and this was inspired by that. A guy went into a church. He had on, first of all, situational awareness is key. He had on all black. It was hot as hell, and it was in Texas. Okay, so you should have known by then. He had on like a bubble coat or something like that. It was actually crazy. And yeah, he had on like a bubble coat. He did something actually extra weird. He went in there, shot two people, and one of the guys in the back, one of the church security details who conceal carries on a regular basis, shot him before he was able to kill more people. So just imagine if, and it was like 8 people ready to accept the challenge, okay? Like, I promise you, when you saw everybody at the end, it was literally like, but most people weren't even using the right firearm safety. They had their finger on the trigger, they running, they could have killed someone else. So it's so important not only to practice with your firearm, but to practice safely. So that was super important. But this bill will allow people to carry in churches without the pastor's permission. And that's very interesting. So we'll see how that goes. And one more final bill that I want to tell you guys about. East Texas lawmaker, he introduced a bill, Senate Bill 514. This bill will extend a bill that was passed in 2015, and that bill is going to allow anyone over the age of 18 with a concealed carry permit to carry on campus. Dun, dun, dun. That is so taboo. Like, that's a real taboo subject, to carry on a university campus. That's very interesting. Currently, they can have it on campus, but it has to be in the car. So what's the point of having it if it's in the car and it ain't on me? This is what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Why would I even have it? What's the point? Because in the time of crisis, it's going to be, let me, hold on, stop shooting, let me run to the car. I got to go get my, like, who's going to do that? No one. So the point is to have it on you and to make sure you're ready, and have it and not need it, then need it and not have it. That's literally how it always goes. So this Texas lawmaker, again, is just an extension of a bill that was already passed in 2015 that would allow them to not only have it in their car, but have it on their person as well. So things like that are definitely being introduced, and you got to pay attention to these legislative laws, because if you don't, they'll pass and they won't be in your favor. Or the language, I'm telling you, that language, if you don't read it carefully, it will exclude an entire demographic or community of people, and that's where the problem always lies. So we're going to take a quick break real quick, and when we come back, I'm going to tell you about Britain's laws compared to the U.S., okay? So we'll talk about U.K. versus U.S.A. when we come back on Chocolate Tangerine on Power 108.9. And we're back, guys. Welcome back to Chocolate Tangerine on Power 108.9. I'm so excited that you're here. So, as always, I always try to give you some history, take you back. How did we get here? Where we going? History always repeats itself if you don't know it. I've learned that. I promise you I have. So, I want to talk to you today about other countries that have banned firearms. It's very interesting. I want to do like this comprehensive list, right? So I'll do that for you guys, because I love you and I want you to know, okay? So we're going to start with the UK. And I want to talk about this because this is very real. As I start to look at the legislation that's coming about through the Senate and through the House, and that, President Biden is trying to pass, a lot of people, 2A people, are seriously concerned. And the more I look into it, they probably should be. They probably should be. There are signs everywhere. So UK, this is what happened. Did not know this. There was a shooting in the UK. Happened in Scotland, okay? This is what happened. First of all, there was a shooting in 1987. There was a massacre, and it was called Hungerford. And 16 adults in a small English town died, and 15 others were seriously injured, okay? This was nothing in comparison to the gun or to the firearm situation that changed the UK, right? That was nothing compared to what really happened. 1996, it's called Dunblane Massacre, okay? This created the strictest gun laws in the UK because of this situation right here. Guy goes in, right, a shopkeeper, had been lied on by some kids. This is what happened. He was a white guy. I definitely want to preface this. He's a white guy, Scotland. He had been lied on by some kids, And they said he had like molested them or something like that. It was very serious allegations. He felt like it was a witch hunt. He felt quite upset about this. Do you know that man went in that school, Dunblane Primary School, and open fired and killed 16 5 and 6-year-olds. He wasn't playing. He killed one 45-year-old teacher. Okay. This happened on March 13th, 1996. And so this basically brought the UK to its knees because they said the notion that someone would use handguns to kill children, like shooting fish in a barrel, was just so appalling that it provoked a reaction beyond that which had been experienced in the Hungerford Massacre, okay? I told you that was when an adult went in there and killed other adults. So what happened was, that happened in 1996. Immediately, by the end of 1997, they had banned private ownership of most handguns. Banned private ownership, okay? They included semi-automatic weapons ban and a mandatory registration for shotgun owners. This is how it starts. Let me tell you, okay? So they also had mental health screenings and all that stuff. You had to do a couple things in order to get your firearm now. So that continued, but then the parents of the children got together. And they was so angry. They were so mad that they did this grassroots advocacy and built up 1 million signatures and took that all the way to the parliament. So with that type of pressure, the new person that came in town, he created a system where they got rid of all handguns, like all private ownership. It wasn't even just handguns. He came in and he created the Firearms Amendment Act of 1997, and it banned all high caliber handguns like the one that was used in the Dublin shooting. And prior to that, you could still have a 22. This outlawed the 22 as well. Okay? In the UK, they have a system where the elite pretty much have firearms. They use it for shooting or hunting or things like that. It's like a sport to them. For us, it's literally embedded in the fabric of our country. It was written in the Declaration of Independence. That is literally the Second Amendment. It's the highest of the amendments. So it's that way for a reason. So we have totally different viewpoints when it comes to firearms compared to our European brothers and sisters. And so the debate is totally different when you talk about what you do over here when it comes to firearms and then what they do when it comes to firearms, because they were able to ban all firearms. Do you understand what I just said? They literally banned all firearms and 22 handguns. Like, you can't own these things. And then they created this $150 million pound like funding to buy back the firearms from people. And people were so shook by what happened at the school that they voluntarily gave their firearms up. Holy shit, Batman. No, seriously, listen. They voluntarily gave all of their firearms up to the point where they surrendered 162,000 guns and 700 tons of ammunition. Where are all those guns to this day? Where's all that ammunition to this day? You think it just disappeared? You think it just went away? Okay? There was such a public outcry. And so the Dunblane Massacre is very similar to the Sandy Hook Elementary School Massacre. Do you remember that? Do you remember where 20 first graders and 6 adults in Newton, Connecticut died at the school? Well, our Dunblane Massacre neighbors sent a letter telling them how to create the same structure that happened in UK over here. They are instructing people how to lobby and how to get a ban on all firearms. And I was just thought this was so interesting because I'm just like, we're literally on the cusp. Like, if you can pay attention to history, you can see where this legislation is leading you. These universal background checks. We already have universal background checks. So what else are you adding to the universal background check that we already have? Obviously, it's something else. They want to have a national registry. You want to know where I keep my firearms. You want the address. You want the actual latitude and longitude. That's what you want from me. Do you see what they're proposing and introducing? And it's literally, people are like, well, that's not going to go, that's not going to fly. But they got the House, the Senate, and the presidency. It could absolutely fucking fly, okay? This could happen. And it's not that we're saying 2A people, it's always like this tug of war. Like, you think that 2A people don't care about safety, that we don't care about, saving lives. That is literally not the argument. It's never the argument. The argument is, if I'm in a situation where I cannot carry and you take this right away from me, do you think the criminal is still going to pay attention? Now we just both don't have a weapon, and he's the only person that's abiding by or not abiding by the rules, and he is playing unfairly. And that's going to cost me my life. That's going to cost my family's life. So I don't want that. I want to lawfully be able to carry like the Constitution allows me to do. That's literally that's always the argument. That's always the sentiment. So any conversation outside of that is just opinions and viewpoints. That's kind of like where it is. There's a way to safely do this, and there has been legislation introduced for that doesn't strip you of your 2A rights. So this is where we are. UK did something totally different, okay? And they haven't had a massacre since. Let's keep it $1. I'm gonna throw that out there. They have only had one shooting since then, I think, and that's pretty darn good, honestly. That's really good statistics. And it had a 37% drop between 2005 and 2011. And what they're noticing now during COVID is that crimes involving guns have experienced a slight upstick, is what they call it. A slight upstick has gone up. So where they get the guns from? I thought we banned them. I thought you said we couldn't have them. That's what you said. So where my mans get it from? Why can't I have one? These are questions. This is how you start to unravel this thread of gun control, because it's like he is not going to listen to your rules, because your rules they literally don't fancy him, okay? They don't fancy him. So I just want you guys to pay attention, because if you don't recognize that other countries have already done this and there is a blueprint, there is something, a foundation to stand on that says this country did it. They had a reduced rate of mass killings, and they can statistically point those numbers out. So that's data. If you can use data to articulate your argument to the right person, you win. That's literally how politics works, basically. So I want you guys to pay attention to this. I thought it was super important. Criminals just don't care. I mean, if it was in a society where you didn't have choice and they didn't have access and everyone played by the same rules, then obviously, sure, like, get rid of guns. Like, we're all on the same playing field. But that's not where we are, and that's not how it works. And we have to be realistic, okay? All of these mass shootings that have happened, first of all, by white people, have not been diverted because it was legal or illegal. That is something that they were determined to do regardless. And what we are is there should have been a law-abiding citizen with their Second Amendment right upheld that had something to stop them. And in certain situations, that has happened. We have those data and statistic points as well, okay? So that is real. So I want to talk to you guys. I always talk to you about a tip or a trick that I want to leave you with so that you guys know how to survive out here in these streets. I don't keep watching the news, but on Instagram, I follow this page that tells me like up-to-date situations that are happening in Atlanta and happening in D.C. and things like that. And the numbers are crazy, from armed robbery. The numbers are crazy for murder. Like, people are killing people on the highway as they drive down the road. Like, no care about other drivers, no care about you. Your sole mission is to get this person, and it has become sick in these streets. It's been crazy. So I want to tell you guys about ways, especially women, to look at basic human threat assessments. Like, how do you spot a threat and what signs do you look for? And I think that's super important, because if you don't know, I talked about on the last show, if you don't know how to read body language, then you're going to continue to be oblivious and probably a victim sooner rather than later, and we want to prevent that, okay? So there are some characteristics that you need to look at when you look at basic human threat assessments, and that's the whole person, that's their hands, and then that's their demeanor, okay? Let's start with the whole person. The whole person is going to tell you whether that person appears to be like a grown male, a grown female. These days, listen, just go by your judgment. Are they an adult? Are they child? That type of thing. Their hands are going to tell you if they're holding something. Okay? If they have something in their hands, you should be able to see it. Is it a knife? Is it a gun? Is it like in their pockets? Is it halfway sticking out? Is it like, do they have gloves on? Pay attention to their hands. And then what type of gloves? Is it latex and it's hot as hell outside? Is it like winter gloves and it's hot? Like, pay attention. What's the surroundings? What does that person have on? And then their demeanor. That's going to tell you what they're up to. Are their eyes shifting? Is their body weight shifting? Are they looking over their shoulder? Like, what are they doing? Are they walking aimlessly? Or are they walking with a purpose? Are they keeping laser focus on you and you're on the other side of the street, they're crossing over to you? What is their demeanor? Pay attention to those. If those three things are paid attention to, your likelihood and chances of increasing the time for you to avoid, escape, or defend the situation just increase. Okay? If you have to avoid the situation, you only have 60 seconds. If you have to escape the situation, you only have 30 seconds. And if you have to defend yourself, you only have 5 seconds to do so. So if you can pay attention to their whole body, who are they, right? Are they bigger than you? Are they smaller than you? If you can pay attention to their hands, are they holding something? Do they have on gloves? What is their hands doing? And if you can pay attention to their demeanor, if they are very suspicious, and you know what suspicion is, and it's not all black people, okay? Stop playing with us. It's not that. You know what suspicious looks like, okay? Somebody is literally in aggressive mode coming towards you, or, you know, they are watching you, or they're following you. That's the demeanor that you need to pay attention to. If you can pay attention to those things, I guarantee you, you will buy the time needed or extend the time needed to save your life. And I think that is all you can really ask for in situations, okay, is to be able to do stuff like that. And I talk about this in my classes all the time. If you don't know, again, certified firearm instructor, I definitely have a passion for teaching firearm safety and basics. But beyond all of that, I want to teach you situational awareness. I want to teach you how to be vigilant. And most people think being vigilant is synonymous with being paranoid, and it's not the same thing at all, okay? Paranoid is something totally different, and some of that paranoia is justified as well. So we're not going to go into that, but being vigilant means you're prepared to defend yourself. You're prepared to go home. At the end of the day, you're prepared to go home. Are you prepared to go home? Because I am. I want to go home. My family is not going to understand why I'm not there, you know, prematurely. They're not going to understand that through no fault of my own, through someone else making a decision about me and my body and my safety. That's not going to work for me. And so you have to pay attention to your surroundings, where you are. And this is why I'm such a believer in Glock as well. This firearm will allow me, with practice, because I do practice with it. I drive practice at home. Drive practice is when you use, you know, your weapon or your firearm with no ammunition. The ammunition is completely out the room, and you are literally just practicing how you're going to draw from your holster, how you're going to get on target, how you do sight alignment. Sight alignment is where you have your sights in focus. And in an adrenaline situation, you're not going to remember all these steps, all these steps. You're not going to remember that shit. You're going to point and shoot, but you better hope you point in the right direction. You better hope you know your target and beyond and what's between it, because that's a universal firearm safety rule. You have to know these things, and this is what I teach in my classes, because it's not just I carry now. It's not just I go to the range every once in a while. It's literally knowing. We also teach laws in my class. Like, do you know what the deadly force formula is? Because it really is one. Like, you got to have certain criteria has to be met for you to use deadly force. And if you don't, that's your ass, Mr. Postman. Like, that's literally you up shit creek for real. And so it is the prosecutor's job to make sure that you fail at least one of those. So all of certain criteria have to be in place where you immediately in threat. Not that we was at the store, then I ran home, got my gun, and came back. None of that, okay? Was your family in danger? You know, did you have commands? Did you tell them to stop? Were you on camera somewhere? Because someone's always videotaping, showing that you were the victim and not the aggressor, that you didn't participate in any of the activity that led up to that. They're going to talk to witnesses. They're going to talk to people surrounding. They're going to look at video footage. Any of those criteria not met, you are in trouble, sis. you are in trouble, bruh. And so we teach that. So get a class, okay? Definitely come to one of the Tactical Tangerine classes because it's important. It's super important. It'll save your life. It'll save the lives of others. And then you'll be able to walk away knowing that you would have did it again if you were in the same situation. That's what you got to be able to say. Like, I'd do that shit again. Don't play with me. Don't run up on me, okay? Don't run up on me. So I definitely want to talk to you guys about that. We're going to take one more break, and we're going to come back on Chocolate Tangerine on Power 108.9. Keep it locked right here. Alternative investments is investments that investors are looking for outside of the traditional Apple, Google, stocks that they normally trade, or real estate that they normally buy, or investments that they normally make, the portfolios that they already have. They want something different. They're ready to risk it all. They have a higher risk tolerance. They're absolutely ready to sink their teeth into something exciting and new. They want to be on the cutting edge of something brand new. So this is a situation where alternative investing in the firearms industry, I feel like that's where your girl is about to like cuddle up at. I feel like that's my spot. That's my lane. And I say that because I'm looking at the price of ammunition. I'm looking at the price of guns and how they're going up. How they last year, the top three industries that continued to make money in spite of COVID was alcohol, cannabis, and firearms. Who'd have thunk? Who'd have thunk? So being in the firearms industry feels right at home. I did deal flow in the cannabis industry. I helped investors secure real estate deals. I helped them secure, build their dispensaries up. I helped them to do mergers and acquisitions. So this industry is the same. I truly feel like this is an industry where mergers and acquisitions are happening every day. Ammo and refilling your ammo, getting a factory or manufacturing plant that does specifically just ammo to help with the shortage that's going on, or even having an FFL, which is a federal firearms license, having that and being able to sell firearms. And firearms are an investment. Did you know that? Like, I was at the range the other day, and this guy came in. He was selling his Uzi. It was Iranian, I want to say Iranian Uzi, or one of them. It was a Uzi. We'll just go with that. It was a Uzi. He was selling it $17,500 is what he was offered by the range, okay? And it goes up in value. This is why you need a gun trust. Have you heard of a gun trust? A gun trust is where you put your firearms in a gun trust so that they're not taken if something happens to you, because the state can get a hold of it, and then it's just like a nightmare trying to get it back to your family and stuff like that. Well, you put your firearms in a gun trust, and it's not even that expensive. I heard it was like $100-$200, something like that. It's not even that expensive. You put your firearms in a gun trust. That way you can pass it down to whoever you want to have it. Well, that's if HR 1446 doesn't pass. So you see the problem here, but even still, that's where you can learn those type of investment opportunities, because you can absolutely buy a silencer. You can buy, foreign-made semi-automatics, and they continue to go up in value. That is a thing. And so I'm learning all of these things. I'm so excited to be able to introduce this to investors. I'm so excited to be able to present deal flow like this to you in a different way, in a different spectrum, and be able to articulate how this is going to be a great return on your investment in the future. I really am excited about that. And so again, alternative investments, start looking out for that type of content coming in the future. And if you're not following my YouTube channel, Tactical Tangerine Defense, please make sure you go over to the YouTube channel. I definitely have some great content over there, and it's going to be more. I post every Thursday on YouTube, so you can always look for a brand new video every Thursday. And the one that I did a review on the Sky CPX 1 9mm, and I did it compared to the SIG P365. So I was able to compare and contrast those two firearms, because I am a Glock girl, but I want to give you other options. And I think that's super important, that this is not the only concealed carry firearm out there. There are other brands out there, but are those brands reliable? So one of them didn't work out as great as I thought it would. So I tell you which one that I don't recommend and the one that I do. So make sure you go over to the YouTube channel to check that out. I definitely want to make sure you see that. What else I got? Make sure you follow me on all social media, actually, because I'm a beast in these streets. I truly, truly am. I can't wait to come back. So next week, or next show. Next show, we have Tig from My Sister's Keeper's Defense coming on here. I'm super excited about this conversation. She is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to firearm instructing, but more specifically, Black women firearm instructing, and she is at the forefront of that movement, and she's someone I've been watching for years. I'm so excited for her to come on and bless the mic with some wisdom and some info and tell us all about this industry. She was giving me some snippets of it. She was like, shit ain't sweet. She was like, it's not all rosies and the things that y'all think it is now. And I'm sure it has been such a difficult, lonely, challenging road being in a male-dominated firearms industry. This is my terrain, though. This is where I feel right at home. I'm coming from the military. I'm coming from cannabis. That is completely male-dominated, white male-dominated to be specific. And so I feel right in my element in this space. So I can't wait to sit down and talk to her, get her opinions about some things, how to move forward, what she thinks about the new legislation that's coming out, and things like that. So we're going to have a great, great conversation. So make sure you tune in. That is March, I believe, 28th at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we're so excited about that. That is going to be amazing. And then finally, because we're about to get ready to wrap it up, you know how we do on the channel, I just want to tell you guys to pay attention, because there's a lot of movement happening right now in the industry. Firearms, our Second Amendment, feels like, and I can understand the sentiment, that it's under attack. It feels like we are looking at the cusp of the end of our Second Amendment. And that's very drastic to say, but it really is true. If the legislation continues to progress the way it is, you can start to see them chip away, small pieces. And by the time you look up, like, God damn, I can't have firearms at all? My AR-15, I'm trying to tell you. Pay attention. They are coming for them ARs. They are so sick of AR-15s. And that seems like the only fire rifle that they can name. They can't name a damn thing else. They literally have no other names except AR-15. I'm like, this is so unfortunate, because that is the most reliable home defense weapon that you can have, honestly. It feeds properly. The bolt action on it. Like, I'm about to do some reviews on the YouTube channel of my AR before they try to take it, But I really think that it's such a reliable firearm. And the fact that you can have that 30-round capacity in some states. Now, some states have a capacity requirement or maximum that you can have. Is normally 10. But in states that allow you to have 30, it's more reliable than your firearm. So you can, in my concealed carry, I only can carry 10. What if I miss? What if it's dark? If there's a lot of elements to someone breaking into your home at 3 a.m. and you're incoherent or not really aware, or you're trying to keep your family safe, there's a lot of moving parts to that, and the AR-15 is great for home defense. So that's something else we talk about in my classes. I want to make sure you know how to protect your home, how to look for signs. We give you an entire checklist. Okay, is your windows on the first floor? Are they locked? Do they have some type of mechanism where they can't be broken into? Like, we tell you what signs to look for. And so AR-15 is a great home defense weapon. It's very accurate, and it doesn't have almost no malfunction problems. And if it is, the clearing of the malfunction is very easy, very simple, and anyone can really do it. So I'm obviously a proponent, an AR-15 person, and I think it's so unfortunate because people get a bit of information and they try to skew it in their favor, and their favor affects millions of lives. Like, I can understand if you don't like firearms, okay, but you want to take that right from everyone? How fucking selfish. How selfish of you. How do you make that decision for me? How about you just don't get one? But you're just going to tell me that you think that I no longer should have the right to a constitutional amendment, a constitutional right? Make it make sense. So that's where we are in society. And I don't think Democrats or Republicans are for us. Please don't ever think that I am for or against anyone. I think they're both two heads of the same snake. I truly, truly do. But we're in a situation where I feel like Democrats feel like they have to prove something, that they have to make significant strides and changes in a short amount of time based on the fact that they have so much power. And that could be good or bad, and that can be in whose favor. If it would be any different if the Republicans had the House, the Senate, and the presidency. I don't think so. There will be something on the other side that we will be complaining about or in jeopardy of losing. So it's always this tug of war, and I think people just need to pay attention to what's happening. And that's why I always try to bring you some type of legislation that you need to pay attention to, because these are things that affect our everyday life. This is not something that affects the politicians, because they do have security detail. They do carry on their person. They don't worry about everyday person trying to rob you in a pandemic because they're assed out and they don't have food to eat and they got a baby at home. Like, these are dire situations that we're in, and people are becoming desperate, and it's no longer if you ever read the book The Four Agreements, you can't take it personal. It just is at this point. And so never take anything personal. And so we're in a situation where people are desperate and in dire situations, and they will do anything for survival. Human survival is something, like, when I tell you, that's the strongest part of willpower. So if you can't be an advocate vocally or express yourself about your Second Amendment right from the highest rooftop, then at least do it with your money. Support those who are doing it, because that sends us a message as well. Or don't support those who don't support you. That sends a message as well. But you have to be strategic, and we have to be organized when it comes to this, because this is coming from all fronts. They're coming from background checks. They want a universal national registry for all guns. They want to make sure your ex-wife or ex-husband has the right to testify against you and your competency to carry a firearm. Like, the level of, they're imposing on your Second Amendment rights on so many levels and on so many fronts that if you don't pay attention, it's going to pass. Something going to slip through. Something going to get caught, and you're going to be out. So I don't want that to happen to you. Okay? So, with that being said, I love y'all so much. I truly, truly do. And we're going to leave y'all with Tangi's tactical thoughts, okay? Be kind. Be considerate. Be courageous. But be careful, okay? Be careful on these streets, because it's chaos. It's chaos out there, okay? But it's going to be all right. Everything is going to be all right, all right? Know that you are loved. Know that you are safe. Stay trained. Stay tactical, okay? Be honest. Always be loyal to only those that deserve it. And keep the distractions at bay, okay? Make sure you stay on your swivel at all times, all right? And with that being said, my name is Tanjanika. I'm the CEO of Tactical Tangerine. I am a certified firearms instructor. I'm a certified Glock armorer. And I may not be nothing to you, but I'm the shit where I'm from, okay? I love you guys so much, and I hope you have the most amazing, safe journey, okay? And I'll see you guys next time on Chocolate Tangerine on Power 108.9. I'm out.